Good evening, Monarch fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in season 5, episode 18. And today, here with having somebody associated with Monarch Athletics. So, we got a Monarch Monday episode here with the head baseball coach of your Monarchs, Chris Finwood. Finny, how you doing today?
Doing great, Rags. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be back.
Hey, appreciate you coming back on. And I was telling Elizabeth yesterday, I think you and Q kind of are neck and neck here with most appearances here on Sports Talk with Frag. So appreciate the support.
Well, that's good. That's good company to be in anytime you're in there with Matt. So I'll take that for sure.
Right. Yes. Well, hey, let's start. I know that we've had the fall season, but recently there was a golf tournament. So I know that especially nowadays, college athletics definitely looking for the fundraiser. So how was the golf tournament?
It was great. John Valines, has kind of taken that thing and run with it, and he just does a great job with it. We had at Sewell's Point here, which is the closest golf course to our campus. I think people like the proximity of that. We had an unbelievable, beautiful day, and we actually had a game that evening, so had to get out of there. What I wasn't able to stay as long as I would have liked to, but I had to get over here for our game that evening. And it was a perfect day weather-wise. We were really thankful for that, and got to see a lot of Monarch alums and supporters and fans, and I think we made a little bit of money on top of that. So it was awesome.
That's good. Yes, and then I know we got Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, but as soon as the calendar turns to 2026, I know the annual Step Up to the Plate banquet will be another baseball fundraiser.
Yeah, that kind of kicks off the season for us. Good way to introduce the team. We always introduce our Bud Matheny Award winner for that year, and on that note, this year is going to be Mike Kadire. So everybody that's around here certainly knows who Mike is, and he graciously accepted being our Bud Matheny Award winner this year. He's got a great feel for the history of that award, having worked the old clinics back in the old days, and been to a number of our Step Up to the Plate dinners as a guest, and now he'll be the headliner. So it's kind of a neat thing, and we in the future are hoping to turn that dinner into not just to meet the team, but more of also. We're not going to be able to call it a Hall of Fame, but maybe a Diamond of Honor, where we'll honor 2 or 3 former players and put them in our Diamond of Honor. Not circle diamond, I guess it would be. Right. and I think that'll be a cool way to add some spice to that, especially once we get in the new ballpark.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is not only with his career, but with him growing up here. I mean, his dad probably took him, to some clinics there back in the day.
Yeah, guarantee it. And Mike, since he's been retired, is really given back a lot to the area. And one of the premises of that Bud Matheny Award win is somebody that's done, something for baseball in the Tidewater area, and he certainly has. He's kind of revitalized that all 757 All-Star game and taken that by the horns, and he's made that a neat event for those kids. He's got his facility over there that people are always coming and working out in. Pro players that are from the area. He supports a number of summer teams out of his facility. So he's a baseball guy. We were able to play golf last week, and just a genuine, wonderful person, caring, super smart, and we're really happy to have him come be our Bud Matheny Award winner this year.
Yeah, and so I went to Elizabeth and I. We were part of sponsors there when he first got it, but actually I got up with Ernie and we went out there to War Memorial there last year, and not only the high school kids but the kids that were 7, 8, 9, 10, the little leaguers and the travel ball players that came up in uniform, got in for free. And BJ and Kadir were there, but the little kids, they were looking up to the high school players. So yes, he's definitely done a great job with bringing that all Tidewater Peninsula South Side, and bringing that back to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So and there's tons of other things behind the scenes that he does as well. So that's going to be great, and we're happy to have him graciously accept that award for us.
Yeah. Well, hey, and as we talk about what's going on right now, I mean, how was the fall season here for the team? Because definitely the 25 season, I know that you guys played home games at an alternate site between Harbor Park and War Memorial, but it wasn't the Bud. So how was this fall season for the team?
Well, the fall was productive. We just finished up last week, and it was anymore. It feels like each team is going to be about half returning players and half new players, just with the way the environment now. And so our job as coaches is to try to get the guys into one group as functionally and quickly as possible, so we can become a team. And I think we definitely accomplished that this fall. I think you always maybe learn more about what your hitting type lineup might be, unless you have a bunch of returning starters on the mound. You're going to probably know more about your hitters than your pitchers just coming out of the fall, because of the necessity of how you have to kind of train in the fall from a pitching standpoint. You're not getting a bunch of guys extended 5, 6, 7 innings out there. It just doesn't happen that way. So you kind of come out of it thinking you have an idea to go into the season. I think the first 4 weeks of the season helped solidify that, maybe before you get into conference play. So nothing new there. We had some guys have some good falls, some older guys that I think really made some improvements, both in their strength and in their swings. I thought Hage and Paul did a really good job with the hitters' development. We had some guys definitely show some improvement there, and we got a couple, some arms in the transfer portal that are definitely going to help us. So that was pleasing to see, and everybody's for the most part pretty healthy. And so we'll, they get to relax a little bit here now and work on long toss and lifting and a little bit of running, and then we'll be back at it, into that first week in January.
Right, and then you got President's Day weekend here there in February 13th. Not only does the 26th season start, but 26th season starting in front of the home folks, and exciting here with the new ballpark.
Yeah, it is, and this year will be a little bit of a adventure, because we're going to be playing here. The ballpark's certainly not going to be completely done. It'll be still a work in progress. The final, I think substantial completion isn't due to be done till June 1st. Okay. So while we're playing in there, it'll be being worked on. We're working on temporary seating options and things of that nature as we work through it. I think it'll be fun for people to come watch us play and see the park actually going up in front of their eyes. So
yeah,
the field will be the same it always is. Everything else will be normal. It's just not all the stadium's not going to be done, nor anything inside the stadium in terms of locker room, coach's office, any of that. We'll still be working out of our temporary stuff this spring. And that's just the way construction goes. You know, it's delays and you just work through it. And every day we come in, we're one day closer to being in it. So our people have had to do a lot. You know, Rick French and facilities, and you know, we're really grateful that they stepped up and are helping us. You know, be able to play here this spring. They're aware of what we went through last year, having to play every game on the road, and how difficult that is. And I was laughing because somebody was talking about the basketball schedule. I was like, man, they should have called us before they scheduled all these road games against good teams. Like, that's tough on you guys, you know, and hopefully it'll help them, you know, get ready for Sunbelt play. But you also don't want to, you know, look up and you're 3-10.
Right. Well, you know, and the other thing is for all the listeners out there, I mean, after Friday's game against Morgan State, you know, with the post game, I mean, Ted Alexander asked Coach Jones, and because of exams and just how the way the schedule works, you know, the men's basketball team have 5 road games, doesn't have another home game till the middle of December.
Yeah, I know that's tough. That's a. I think it may even be. I think said they were on the road for a month almost. So,
Right.
Yeah, that's a rough stretch, and you know, it'd been nice if they could have got that first one just to give them a little shot in the arm. So, and they're playing good teams, so It's not, and none of those are easy games certainly, and that's usually how it is when you're on the road.
Well, and when you came on last year, I mean, you also talked about, I mean, I know that this new stadium, the renovation, you know, it was on the schedule here to start here, and everyone knew what the 25 season was going to be like. But, you know, you also talked about where, you know, it also teaches you in life, you know, that not everything goes accordingly, and you just deal with it, and you know, move on, and just, you know, hey, what, you know, so glad that you guys can have actual home games here in the 26th season, but definitely been nice when all the finishing touches are finished, especially with, you know, going to games at the Bud here since the late 80s for my brother and I.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing facility. I mean, I think people are going to be like blown away by how nice it's going to be, both aesthetically and comfortably for the fans, the players, everybody. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm really proud of our guys. You know, everywhere from the coaching staff through the players, the managers. It's been, you know, a daily challenge just to have a normal practice.
Right.
It's kind of our normal day. Now we're used to it. You know, where's the extension cord? Somebody in the construction has our extension cord. We can't turn the machine on. There's no power. They turn the power off. There's always something, and you just adapt, improvise, overcome, and figure out how to do it. You know, there's an old Stoic principle, so the obstacle in the path becomes part of the path, and that's certainly what we deal with every day. And but it's still you know, it's a great place to play, and we're going to get to play not on somebody else's field, right. And that's always nice, you know. And we'll have some spaces for our fans to show up and watch us and cheer us on, and that's going to be cool. So, is it going to be perfect? No, but it's going to be better than nothing, and that's the way we're going to look at it. And it's, you know, once the guy says play ball, then it's just baseball. So you can't really get hung up on any of the other things.
Right. And, you know, so February 13th is not only, you know, opening day for 2026, but, you know, opening day for the home schedule. But, you know, at the end of February, you know, UNC Charlotte, you know, that's been a contest that, you know, even though we're not in the same conference anymore, you know, you guys pretty much like the schedule, you know, this year, you know, they're coming to Norfolk. You know, I think last year we went to Charlotte, you know, and then the beginning of March, UConn, coming down. So definitely some great non-conference schedule before conference starts there in the middle of March.
Yeah, Charlotte's always a good series. Seems like most of our games are kind of nip and tuck, and they beat us in the bottom of the ninth down there on Friday last year, and then we were able to beat them the next two games, and we scored 4 or 5 in the top of the ninth on Sunday to win, come back and win. And so they're always hard fought contests. I think they make you better. They get you ready, for Sun Belt play. I've never played against UConn anywhere as an assistant or head coach, and so that's exciting. We got so much respect for that program. They do an amazing job up there, and they'll be good. So, that'll be another good challenge for us. And you just don't know what anybody's like anymore because of the portal. You got to kind of just get out there and play, and so that's the way we're looking at it. And we're similar. I think if you look at our team, I think half the starters will be back and the other half are new guys, and probably same thing with the pitching staff. And so people, you got to go through that first month. It's a learning process and see who's going to fit in where and who can do what. And hopefully by the time, conference play starts, you have a better idea about, what kind of club you got and where each of the pieces can go.
Yes, and I know that we've shared, before that, you went to school over in Hampton, but here you've been leading the Monarchs here since 2012. So here it is. Here it is, fall of 25. By the time the actual season starts, it'll be 2026. But just talk about here how you've been leading the Monarchs program, and I know you went to high school, just across the water, but just leading the Monarch program here, starting at 2012, and here we are getting ready to start spring of 26 season.
Well, anytime you're able to stay someplace for 15 years, this will be 15 years, you got to be grateful for that. Certainly, it means the people you're working with that are helping you are very supportive. Be my 20th year working for Dr. Seelig,
right? Yeah,
at Western Kentucky, and then here. So that's a very also something unique. There's not many guys that have worked for the same AD for 20 years, and Wood's a special guy and we have a special relationship, so obviously grateful for that. And it's been a journey here to get one of the things we were hoping to do. I still have every day I look at it, the article from David Teal on the day we took the job, and talks about a new ballpark coming. It just has taken a little while, and maybe in some respects we had to earn it, which I think we did. And we certainly want to continue to do that. I feel like it is going to help us in every way, and it has a little bit, but still not in the way that it can. Right now we're recruiting to the new ballpark, and you show kids pictures and things like that, and you talk about it, but they're not able to walk in it and touch it yet. It's still a construction zone. So I think we haven't gotten the guys that maybe some of that will help us get. And we don't want kids to come just because of the new ballpark. That's not what this is about by any means. Like, we want kids to come here for the right reasons, the relationships, the development, and things like that, more so than just, your shiny new penny. It will get you in some more living rooms and get you on the phone and things like that with more players, because in the portal, for instance, next summer at the end of the college season, we're going to be able to bring those kids into this place, and instead of in here in the old wrestling room that we're currently in right now, and so that'll be helpful, without a doubt. We've been doing it kind of piecemeal for quite a while, and that'll be nice to have some place that you're really proud of, really can showcase. and get on par with a lot of the people that we recruit against. We lose isn't a good word. Kids, go somewhere else. A lot of times we get hey, we like everything about what you guys are doing, all the things. They just have a lot nicer facility than you. When it's true, I mean, you just own it. Yeah, well, you're right. Okay. We'll move on.
Right.
But it can be frustrating. I don't think people understand how much time goes into recruiting, like our, Hayes and Paulie and Mike and Rhino and Brandon. I mean, and the guys that are out on the road, it's just a constant. They're away from their families for long stretches of time in the summer. Even when they're home, they're on Zoom calls and phone calls and texting. It is never ending. And you're talking about, one of the most interesting dynamics is you're talking about, like, in 1 minute you're going to be talking to a 16-year-old,
Right.
and the next minute you're talking to a 23-year-old grad student.
Right.
That's 7 years.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of different conversations and then everywhere in between those three as well. So there's a lot of different dynamics that go into that. Obviously the conversation with a 23-year-old is going to be a lot different than the 16-year-old that might not have his driver's license yet. So yeah, it's a lot, and it's going to be nice to have one more thing we can sell, one big giant thing we can sell that we're super proud of, and we will take advantage of that. I think it'll help us continue to get good teams down here to play, especially from the Northeast. And we'll have some neat things have already happened. I mean, Chris Pollard, the new head coach at University of Virginia, has agreed to play us here home and home. So we'll play them here in our new ballpark instead of over at Harbor Park, and that'll help us sell the place out.
Yeah,
and
right.
It'll be amazing atmosphere. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and so to talk about the article there when you took the job, and David Teal, writing. I mean, I think my brother Mike, when he was on a recruiting visit on where he went to go play, the coach showed him a spot of where the new ballpark was going to be for that program, and come to find out, it didn't come. Mike being there from 92 to 95 of William and Mary, it didn't come till like the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then it was at a different spot. So, when colleges and athletic programs have these visions, I mean, yes, it is on the table for a while, but when you fundraise and you got to do permits and everything, I mean, it takes time.
It does, and I don't think it. To be quite honest, I don't think it ever happens without the 21 team and what we were able to do, being a number one seed and having to go on the road to as a number one seed. I think that coincided with us getting a new president. And President Hemphill, basically said, we can't let things like this happen here. I mean, that's the one facility here that's below par. So let's do something about it. And it's unusual for a school to step up out of its own pocket, not just fundraising and like he did, and get us started. If the university doesn't, make that lead gift, I don't think we ever get this off the ground. And if we don't have that type of a year, I don't think that ever happens, to be honest. And so we're excited that it did, and excited about where we're heading. And it's a lot of work in between here and there, but we're one day closer.
Right. Right. And looking at your coaching staff, I mean, pretty much, your top two assistants have been there with you for a few years. I see that, speaking of William and Mary, I see that Paul, used to be an assistant there at William and Mary, but a little bit later after Mike played there. But and then you got Ryan Moore and Brandon also on the coaching staff. So you have some recent alums, that come back and here on your staff.
Yeah, it's a really neat staff. Bunch of good dudes. You know, just lucky to get to work with these guys every day. And looking forward to another good season with them for sure. So they work their butts off, and they're good people and good friends. And so I'm really grateful for our opportunity to work together every day. And they've had to go through all of these changes and struggle just like everybody else. So I think everybody's attitude has been about as good as it can be. It's been a lot, and we'll continue to be a lot. But they just, nobody ever complains. They just roll their sleeves up and what's next. And I really appreciate that.
And actually, we can't forget another person. Somebody that played against Mike. But his dad, Kevin Gibbs, and here Casey. Working on his grad degree and part of Monarch baseball.
Yeah. Casey's been great, man. And Bryce Jones is one of our grad assistants as well, who's an alum, finished last year. So those two young guys are out there, man, and they're awesome. Like they're out there every day working hard in the cages, on the field, whatever we ask them to do. It's great learning opportunity for them. Casey's actually done a lot with our base running, and it's kind of taken that by the horns, and he's been great. So Kevin's super happy that he finally got a reason to come back down here more. So he's excited about all of that.
Yeah, and base running. I mean, the current team should listen to Casey, because I think base running runs in the family.
Yeah, his dad was super fast, right?
Right.
And Casey was a good base runner and base stealer. So, we've got some guys that can steal some bags on this year's team. So we'll see how that plays into our offensive approach once we put a singular lineup together. One of the things about the fall that when you're playing inter squad, you're splitting your team up, and sometimes you play maybe the guys you think would be quote unquote starters against some of the other guys. But if you're wanting to really compete, you kind of try to even the teams up, make it competitive. And so you never really have a full feel of what a lineup might be. You can get bits and pieces of it, like the first 5 guys or second 5, things like that. But once you add them all in there together, you try to see if you can create some length in that lineup with good hitters at the bottom as well as the top.
Yeah. Well, hey, Finney, appreciate your time. And you talked about how long you've worked for Dr. Seeley, how long you've been at Old Dominion. Well, through my brother, where we first, knew of you was early 90s, when you coached some, or recruited some Churchland and Manor guys that there with your time at VMI that played against Mike, then when Mike went to William and Mary, and you were at VMI, Ryan Glenn and Ryan Griffin and Billy Goodrich, so
Lee Havard, Trey Rhodes.
Okay.
We had a bunch from over there, man. That was a good group. So and obviously Ryan Glenn played in the big league, so that was maybe the best of them.
Yeah, well, hey, I appreciate, now with having this podcast, appreciate you coming on and pretty much, talking about an off season and the upcoming years. So any last minute nickels here before we wrap up?
No, I just think we hope people come out and see, even though the ballpark's not going to be done, I think, it could be easy to say, well, I'll just wait till next year and come see. But we're going to have a nice space for people to watch games. I think they'll be excited about it. We certainly are. And come check the boys out, and get a feel for the ballpark. I think if you ended up coming to a number of games, you actually get to see the finishing touches, so to speak, being put on it, which is always exciting. Right. They'll be well past the bones of it by then, so we'll get to see the cool parts of it going up.
All right. Well, hey, I mean, I'm also showing my age, but I remember, going to a conference tournament at the Bud, there in the there in '94. So it'll definitely be nice to start having our baseball program maybe competing for hosting for future conference baseball tournaments and regionals and so on.
Absolutely. We'll be certainly in a good position to do that, Rags, for sure. Thanks for having me on, man, and thanks for hanging in there with me on those schedule changes. It's crazy when we're in the middle of fall practice. So, I always appreciate you offering and us to be able to get together and talk some baseball.
Well, thanks. Hey, appreciate your time, and go Monarchs, and have a great Thanksgiving, and see you around.
Thanks. You too, Rags. We'll see you.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.